Everybody, welcome back to Buffalo Brief. We are still in the month of November that is ticking by ever so quickly here. Thanksgiving just next week. We are still in that month that, of course, held the general election. Kind of coming off that, if you will, we have in with us today a victor from that day. A hard-fought campaign, harder than I think a lot of people across politics in Erie County or Western New York thought. But at the end of the day, the incumbent, Kevin Hardwick, beat out Christine Zarnick to enjoy another term as the Erie County Controller. Kevin Hardwick, thank you so much for being here for Buffalo.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Dave.
This term that you were just elected to is a 3-year term. Can you explain why the differences this year, and not only your position, but other offices as well?
Yeah, the state legislature passed and the governor signed a law a couple years ago to try to bring all of these local elections, or many of them anyway, including mine, to a term that ends and a new election is held in an even year. So we would run with either the president or the governor, the state legislature, so that all the elections would be in 1 year. The thinking is turnout is better in those years, and you want more people voting, so that was the thought behind it. The other thought was behind it would benefit Democrats who control the state legislature and the governor's office, so the Republicans are saying that's the reason. I'm not going to comment on that further, but obviously it's going to help Democrats.
For sure.
In the news just this week, we were talking about the new jail proposal. This is something that you have commented on greatly. So that proposal, for folks who don't know, is building a single modernized jail in Alden. It would replace that aging building in downtown Buffalo and the Erie County Correctional Facility in Alden. It would cost $500 million. Your thoughts on that for folks who this week didn't hear what you said? You did say this week, my fear is that almost surely it will result in significant property tax hikes for many, many years.
Yeah, well, it would double our debt service that we would pay every year, which would increase our debt service by $20 to $25 million a year for probably 30 years running. That's going to be money, take away from money that could be going to other things, fixing roads or tax cuts or whatever, right? The problem is that that's a lot of money. It's the cost of the project started out at 420, 430. Now it's up to 480. Let's face it, it's going to be $500 million. That didn't even include what to do with the existing holding center. You're probably going to talk about massive costs there for taking it down. I'm sure there is asbestos and other problems there that will have to be mitigated. And then it would leave this big hole in the middle of downtown Buffalo. So there are a lot of problems with that. In addition, you've got next year, counties are uncertain about what's going to happen to us. I mean, we're just not talking about Erie County, we're talking everybody. This one big beautiful bill, which had a number of provisions, many of them may come back and really hurt counties financially. We don't know. And we won't know till next year, but they could be significant. We could need all the money that we can get our hands on. So I said, something has to be done. There's no question that the current situation is unsustainable. It's intolerable. We have to do something. But I'm not sure that waiting a year is going to make that big of a difference until we find out what happens with these other changes on the federal level and how they're going to trickle down to us. And the other thing is, I don't think we can afford $500 million in doubling our debt service. I think that's too much. The last run at this, the consultant came back with an $800 million figure. Yeah. And the county executive and the sheriff said, no, go back to the drawing board, sharpen your pencil, and come back with something less. Now he's come back with, the consultants come back with this proposal, which again, would probably be close to $500 million by the time you're done with it. And I think we should tell them again, go back to the drawing board, come up with something else. I've also suggested that maybe we should, pursue a more regional approach rather than go it alone. Other counties, have the same problems we do, expenses, housing prisoners. There's no reason just because, we're Erie County that this problem should stop at our border. Maybe we could look at some of the surrounding counties in Western New York, try to go in together with them on this, as we have done with other things.
That's a really interesting approach. And I think if we have time, I'd like to kind of explore that a little bit. I want to talk about the financial aspect of this because that is, of course, your purview. But you also are a longtime politician. So the other side of this is how you're going to pay for it. And then the other side, of course, is how is this going to be accepted, or how do you get people behind it? That's my question, I guess. How politically do you get the people of Erie County to support, let's say, a $500 million measure on a facility that most of them, Kevin, will never step foot in?
Well, let's hope they don't use. But the problem is, it's not just the inmates there; it's the corrections officers, and they have to live with this. Day in, day out, year in, year out. They're there for longer than most of the inmates are there. And that's a problem. And again, the situation is intolerable. You have to do something, no question about it. But half a billion dollars is a little bit much. I mean, that is a lot much. You think that our investment in the new stadium for the Bills, the county share of it was only $250 million. That's half of what we're talking about for the new jail, and we would be going this alone. There would be no money from the Pagulas and the state and so on. And I'm saying, we ought to take another look at it, try to get the state involved. If not, try to look around, maybe get some help from other counties, see what the other possibilities are. Now, just a day ago, of course, we had the announcement that the Collins Correctional Facility is going to be cut in half. Half of that is available. Is that a possibility? I mean, possibly. I don't know. It's probably not perfect. But again, when you're talking about the sort of money we're talking about, and you're talking about having to go to taxpayers to fund that, maybe a little less than perfect would be the best situation here.
That was an announcement from the state yesterday of Collins.
Big one.
Helicopters are also something that the Erie County Sheriff's Office is in need of. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think this started out a couple of years back when the sheriff came and wanted to replace Air One, and we put through a capital project for him, which called for the purchase of a dual-engine helicopter. Turns out there were some problems with that, getting the helicopter approved by the FAA, and Airbus came back and said to him, well, we'll give you two for the price of one, two helicopters for the price of one, two single-engine helicopters. And everybody jumped at that. Now, at that point, I guess I would have asked the question, well, we wanted one helicopter. Do we really need two? And rather than getting two for the price of one, maybe we could get one for half the price of the better helicopter, the one with two engines, and save taxpayers money. But that wasn't the way we went. Now we're in a situation where we have bonded $5.5 million for the county share of that helicopter. We already put down $1.4 million in a down payment. And we're at a situation where we're starting to take delivery of these helicopters, but it doesn't include the money that's going to be necessary for the upgrades or the upfitting, the special machinery and the like that's going to enhance those helicopters, which you'll need it to do the service that it's intended for. And we're talking a significant amount of money. Originally, we were counting on a little over $4 million in the federal budget that Congressman Langworthy was trying to get. That hasn't materialized in 2 years. Congressman Langworthy is supposedly still working on that. I hope he gets it. If he gets it, the problem is solved. We can afford the helicopters and the upfits. As it stands now, we only have enough money to barely buy the two helicopters. We can get them, but we can't upfit them.
You got to maintain them too.
And that's something we were planning on anyway, the maintenance cost of it. But the upfitting is the big thing. So in a very short period of time, we just paid for and took delivery of the first helicopter, the first new helicopter. We did not trade in Air One, which was originally in the plans. So now we have Air One, we have the new helicopter, which we can't, I assume we can't use for what it's intended because we don't have the upfits. And in another month or so, we're going to get a second new helicopter, but we're not going to be able to upfit them. So we'll have 3 helicopters, only one of which we can actually put out there in service, which is the original Air One. And we're going to have to sit around until more money comes around for the upfits, either through federal budget or whatever. My guess is it'll be whatever, which is the Erie County taxpayers will have to spend significantly more money to upfit these helicopters. When, a while back, we could have just said, hey, let's be content with the money we have and use it for one helicopter, properly upfit it, and maybe even give some money back to the taxpayers. But that's not the avenue we pursued. And here we sit, and, I obviously have some problems with this.
Yeah.
Kelsey, if I could, a couple of things we got from the sheriff's office. I have a statement about the jails and then a statement about the helicopter. The jail statement actually is very much in concurrence with a lot of what you were saying. Let me talk a little bit about what the sheriff's office says when it comes to the helicopter. This is according to them. Our contract with Davenport is for 2 helicopters, not 1. It doesn't make sense to us that the controller would encourage opening the county up to a legal liability of breaching that contract. This is obviously an important public initiative. Then he goes on to explain, and I'm not going to do it here because it is a lot of numbers, the numbers and the differences in terms of the millions of dollars for these helicopters. Chris Horvadets, the county sheriff's office spokesperson, says we continue to monitor activities in Washington, as Kevin just got done saying. We remain optimistic that when the CJS Appropriations Act is approved, it'll include $4.2 million for this project. We are only in this situation because the Erie County Sheriff's Office proactively sought state and federal funding for this project. Had the county bonded the entire amount, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That is according to the sheriff's office.
Well, it was sold to us. I was on the Capital Projects Committee, and it was sold to us that this money from Congressman Langworthy is pretty much a done deal. It's in there. He's promised that it's going to be there. $4.2 million, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's backed out, and you say, well, we should bond for that, which means Erie County should spend $4 million more or whatever it's going to take to do the job that we didn't think we had enough money for. Had we known initially that the $4 million wasn't going to be there, I'm sure we would have said, no, let's take half a deal, go get 1 helicopter, which is what we originally wanted, and go with that. Now, there was I'm just learning recently that there was an opportunity this summer to probably get out of the 2 helicopter deal. Because originally the contract was with Airbus, and it got shifted to another company, this Davenport, and in the process, the price actually went up by several $100,000. There was an opportunity to renegotiate. I mean, we knew the problem. There was a problem with the federal government, and the money wasn't forthcoming. In fact, the federal government was about to shut down, which they did for, 50 days or whatever it was.
Days, yeah.
And there was an opportunity for the sheriff and the administration to say, hey, maybe we should go back to 1 helicopter, save the taxpayers some money, properly upfit it. That opportunity apparently has come and gone. But it's been very frustrating because I've been working on this for the better part of a year. Certainly since January, I've been trying to get people together saying, hey, we should talk about this. We should figure out what plan B is before we have to take delivery of the helicopters. And here we are taking delivery of helicopters, and we're fighting amongst ourselves.
And just if I may, what they said about the jail, again, very much in concurrence with what you're saying. This is from the sheriff's office. All of the experts are in agreement that a consolidated facility in Alden is the best path forward. The plan will reduce operational costs by eliminating a duplication of services, improve deteriorating conditions for working staff and incarcerated individuals, and optimize our use of space to adhere to a modern correctional norms. It's time for us to move out of the 20th century. The cost of doing nothing is far too great. Very similar, same page.
I think we do have to do something, and the costs that the experts are talking about, oftentimes they're overstated. You know, the cost savings never materialize. Not all of them. I think there would be cost savings. I'm not sure if they would be as large as the consultant has said. Oftentimes the consultants, the experts that are brought in on this have a vested interest because they'll be the ones getting further contracts to help with the development of the jail, and they're going to benefit from that financially.
Yeah. Lot to go on that. Still a lot in the future, so we definitely are going to have that conversation more.
All right. I do want to bring this up. We only have a couple more minutes, but, moving forward here within your office, to start, though, to move back for a second, the former Erie County deputy clerk admitted stealing more than $320,000 from taxpayer funds. That was back in August of 2024. Your office is the one that found out about all of that going on. What did you learn from that experience? if you may tell us a little bit more about that experience, walk us through that, and then what you learned from it.
Well, I think we learned that we have to continue to look where the money is. I mean, when we're doing our audits, you want to look with people who are handling money, and the clerk's office obviously handles a lot of money. And it's like the Dillinger thing. John Dillinger used to say, was asked, why do you rob banks? And he said, that's where the money is. Right. Well, where do you do the audits? Well, like Dillinger, you point to who holds the money. So that's where many of our audits have concentrated on. That in the unfolding of that, we did uncover a lot of irregularities there. It eventually led to a deputy clerk confessing and going to jail. I don't take any great joy in that. It was sad all the way around. Yeah. Sad for him, sad for the county. I guess if I had things to do over again, we tried to work as closely as we could with the clerk. At times, I got into shouting matches with him. Yep. I don't like to lose my cool like that. Yeah. I think that in the end, we have to keep our eye on the prize, which is doing better for the taxpayers of Erie County. And in the end, we did. Mickey and I, our relationship was frayed a little bit there. But when it came right down to it, he took our recommendation seriously. He sought new staff from the county legislature, new accountants. He sought new accounting software, which was a big part of the problem here that we had recommended. And when the county legislature balked at this and they tried to slow the process down, we went to bat for him. We worked hand in hand with Mickey in saying, no, he really does need this. So I'm confident that the clerk's office today is better than the clerk's office was a few years back. Yeah. When we got into this. And that should be, the poster child for what we can do. It shouldn't be the auditors come in and say, hey, look, and have a press conference and spike the football and look at what these idiots are doing here. No, it should be helping people make things better. That's what our job is. That's the way I view it. And I think in the end, that's what we did. And I think that's, for me, the definition of success.
That's great. Excellent. Kevin, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you again for being here for
You're
Buffalo
welcome.
Brief. Thanks again for joining us for Buffalo Brief. See you tomorrow.